Life is not perfect, nor will it ever be. Wars will continue to be fought, loved ones will pass, and great opportunities will be lost. However, that does not mean that one cannot be happy. Happiness is often misinterpreted as having every last detail flawless, when in reality, this is impossible. No, I am not saying that life is hopeless. In fact, I claim the opposite. In order to be happy, one must overlook the tribulations and focus instead on the blessings that have been bestowed upon them, or the simple pleasures that life has to offer. Why lament on one rainy day when you could reminisce on weeks of sunshine? Unfortunately, this is not often the conventional thought process of the world today. Outspoken are those who are suffering. Pessimistic and crestfallen often voice their opinions and experiences, but rare are the tales of happiness, when in an ideal world these are the tales to be celebrated. The sunshine on the tip of your nose, baby laughing, cupcake eating tales. I propose a world where happiness is a state of mind rather than the ultimate goal in life, where anyone can be happy regardless of circumstance. If this were true, people might stop seeking elaborate fantasy worlds and find happiness in what they already have in front of them. An accurate representation of this point can be seen in F. Scott Fitzgerald's The Great Gatsby. Jay Gatsby seemed to have it all: money, fame, and extravagant parties. However, in his mind, he needed just one more thing to achieve happiness: Daisy. He knew that to have Daisy completely was almost inconceivable, but he would not allow himself to enjoy any of his successes without her. He lived the last years of his life in misery, searching for perfection, when happiness was right in front of him the whole time. In a similar situation, Heathcliff became one of the most brooding characters known to literature. His pessimistic and cynical attitude stemmed from his unrelenting strive for flawlessness in his life. He needed Catherine in order to feel any sort of happiness, and while it does sound romantic, Heathcliff's blatant disregard for the fortunes that were granted to him make him ignorant and unhappy. If he, while still in search of Catherine, allowed himself to take pleasure in the simpler things, he would have led a much more fulfilled life. My point is not to discount your dreams. My point is that while in pursuit of your goals, happiness is still a possibility. For example, in the novel A Thousand Splendid Suns by Khaled Hosseini, Miriam thought that she was bound to bleak isolation, and she allowed herself to simply exist rather than to actually live. However, soon this familiar attitude was thrown into upheaval when Lila gave birth to her children. Both women immediately were tossed into jubilance every time that Aziza spoke or Salami smiled. Even in the midst of such misfortune, Miriam and Lila were still able to find happiness. This happiness became the driving factor of their survival. No matter how desolate the conditions of the world may seem, it is still possible to find traces of happiness in what seem to be insignificant happenings. This can be illustrated perfectly by the attitudes of Hazel and Augustus in The Fault in Our Stars by John Green. Both of these children are plagued with cancer, but they found liberation from their troubles in each other. Hazel and Augustus were truly in a tragic situation, but they did not let this defeat them. Ultimately, both characters overcame this to find love in each other while simultaneously finding a love of life. I believe that it is impossible to achieve happiness, for happiness is not a goal or end product relying on perfection. It is instead a state of mind that one can reach in spite of their environment or situation. Discover a reason to smile, or better yet, have no reason at all. Take the happiness that life brings to you, hold on to it, and spread it. This I believe.